6, boys and girls, now we see that our variable is being divided by a fraction, and the fraction is 11/6. What is the inverse of dividing by 11/6? It is multiplying by 11/6. And what we do to one side, we will do to the other. Okay, our 11/6 are going to cancel each other out, and I will just bring down my lone variable, which is isolated, and then I can multiply straight through. But before I do this, I just know general rule of multiplying fractions is numerator times numerator and denominator times denominator. But since we're going to need to reduce this fraction, we can either reduce this fraction in the beginning or the end. And right now I see that 3 is a factor of the numerator. 3 goes into 3 once. And 3 is also a factor of the denominator. 3 will go into 6 twice. Okay, and that chops my numbers down a little bit. Now when I multiply across, 1 times 11 is 11, and 4 times 2 is 8. And this is an improper fraction. This is mathematically accurate, but I can take it one step further and turn it into a mixed number. 8 goes into 11 one time with 3/8 as a remainder. So there's your answer. X is equal to 1 and 3. Sample problem number 3 on the worksheet. We see here now that the variable x is being multiplied by 2 1/100. So we have to ask ourselves, what is the inverse of that if we want to isolate x? And it is dividing by 2 1/100. And what we do to one side of the equation, we must do to the other. And I know when I divide 2 1/100 x by 2 1/100, they're going to cancel each other out. I will bring down my variable x. We'll also bring down my equal sign, and then off here to the side I'm going to have to do a long division problem. I have 4 26/100, and I'm dividing that by 2 1/100. And when my dividend here is a decimal, I need to change it to a whole number. So I have to bump over this decimal point 2 places, and I'll do the same thing. What I do, the divisor must do the dividend. Do the same thing to both. Bring my decimal point up here. So I'm going to treat this like 201 and 426. 201 will go 2 times into 426, and I will get 402. When I subtract, I will get a remainder of 24, and I will bring down a 0 and treat like 240. 201 will go 1 time into 240, and when I subtract, I will get 39. Need to bring down another 0, and 201 will only go into 390 one time. Close to more, but not quite. So we are going to multiply that, and then we subtract, and I will get 189. I will bring down the 0 one more time, and I'm stopping here. 201 will go into 1,890, I believe, 9 times. And I will get 9 times 1 is 9, 9 times 0 is 0, 9 times 2 is 18. And when I subtract, I will get a remainder of 81. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to stop there. With any of the problems that you have on this worksheet here, we're going to stop once we get to the 100th place right here. But what we do need to do is we need to take a look at the thousandths place. And since the thousandths place is 9, that tells me to round my 100th place value up 1. So we are going to get a rough estimate of x is approximately, or very close to, 2 1200ths. That's close enough. We could keep on dividing and get a much more exact decimal, but that's close enough for today. Flip over your worksheet to the side with the crazy professor, or teacher. Actually, that looks a little bit like Mr. Depot. Maybe, maybe not. Anyway, this time we are dividing. Okay, we are dividing. We see x over 2 and 1600ths. It's set up like a fraction, but we know every fraction is really a division problem. So when we go to isolate the variable this time, we have to ask ourselves what's happening, and we just said the variable is being divided. So what's the inverse of being divided by 2 and 1600ths? Well, it's being multiplied. So let's multiply it by 2.16. Hey, and what I do to one side, and this is, we can put it over 1 if we want. What we're doing to one side of the equation, we need to do to the other. So we could write it out here, but I just thought, hey, this might be cool. Let's write it like this. 2 that way. Okay. Now we got some really funky action going on here. This is going to cancel out, and I'm going to end up bringing down my variable, x. Okay, because we know if we're dividing x by 2.16 and then I multiply it by 2.16, we're going to get 2.16 over 2.16 x's, which is really 1x. Okay. And we bring down our equal sign. What is x going to equal? And the anticipation is getting to all of us. Well, 6 times 6 is 36. Carry the 3. 6 times 4 is 24, plus the 3 is 27. 6 times 5 is 30, plus the 2 is 32. Then we put a 0 here in our placeholder. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 5 is 5. And 1 times, yeah, that's it. Okay? And then we put 2 zeros down as placeholders. 2 times 6 is 12. Carry the 1. 2 times 4 is 8. Plus the 1 is 9. And then 2 times 5 is 10. We need to add all of this up. 6 plus 0 plus 0 is 6. 7 and 6 is 13. Carry the 1. 1 and 2 is 3. 3 plus 4 is 7. And 7 plus 2 is 9. 3 plus 5 is 8. 8 plus 9 is 17. Carry the 1. 1 plus 0 is 1. And bring down the 1. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal places. So I need to go 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal places in my answer, and I can say that x is equal to 11 and 7,936 10,000s. Wow, that is a mouthful. So let's look at number 8. Now with number 8, we have x is being multiplied by a fraction. And we know that the inverse of multiplying by a fraction is dividing by a fraction. I just want to show you something here off to the side. So if I have 4/9 x and I divide it by 4/9, well, what do I know about dividing fractions? Well, I know that dividing by a fraction is really the same as multiplying it by its reciprocal. In other words, we learned this little strategy. We would say the first step would be to copy my first number, which is 4/9 x, and then I would multiply it. I would copy, and then I would do what? Dot. Okay, here I have copy. Here I have dot. Dot means I just change my division sign to multiplication, and then I would flip. And what does flip means? I change the numerator and denominator around, and 4/9 would be changed to 9/4, or its reciprocal. Remember, this is called the reciprocal. Okay. Now I can go through all these steps and do all this work, but what I know essentially is that if I'm going to do the inverse of multiplying x by if I'm going to do the inverse of multiplying x by 4/9, it's really dividing, and I know when I divide a fraction, I'm really multiplying by its reciprocal. So I'm just going to start out here by multiplying it by its reciprocal. And some of you too can see here, if I multiply it by 9/4, its reciprocal, I'm going to get 36 over 36, which is really 1. And that's what I want. I want 1x. I want x all by itself. And what I do to the left side, I must also do to the other side. So I multiply both sides by the reciprocal 9/4. And when I do that, This will cancel out. It'll become 36 over 36, or 1. So I just have 1x. And over here I will have 9/8. And 9/8 I can change to a mixed number, which would be 1 and 1/8. There is our answer. Okay. Boys and girls, do the rest on your own. Good luck. I will see you tomorrow. Well, guys, I missed you today. I hope that the video was helpful. The problems that you did not finish in class, you will have, you need to do on your own. And what you don't finish will be homework. In addition to that, the substitute will give you a handout that is homework as well, and we'll take care of that tomorrow. Well, you have a great day. You guys are all awesome. Miss you. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.